Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As intelligent machines enter our homes, classrooms, and social spaces, the very nature of parenting is being fundamentally redefined. The very technologies promising a connected, educated future are simultaneously rewriting the code of childhood, often without our consent or full understanding. We are in a race to instill human values in a world increasingly run by machine and logic. This brings us to the core tension we will be exploring today. How do we raise children to be human when their playmates, teachers, and companions may increasingly be machines? How do we nurture empathy, critical thinking, and independence in a world of algorithmic recommendations, virtual assistants? To help us navigate this complex terrain, we are joined by a fantastic panel. I would like to invite Ms. Nadia Jamil, a children's rights activist and a master's and an NLP coach. She is one of Pakistan's most respected actors and a fearless human rights advocate, with the iconic performances across television and theatre represented Pakistan twice at Shakespeare Globe in London. Beyond the arts, Nadia is a pioneering voice for child protection, the first public figure in Pakistan to speak openly about child sexual abuse, and has worked with leading organizations including the Child Protection Bureau, SOS Children's Villages, and the Eidi Foundation. Nadia's work bridges art, advocacy, and healing, inspiring hope, courage, and transformation wherever she goes. Welcome, Nadia. I would also like to invite Mr. Kamil Majeed, a dynamic voice for excellence, innovation, and community impact in education. He serves as the CEO and executive principal of the Nordic International Schools in Lahore. He has led transformative reforms that place the school among the top 10 schools in the world for the world's best school prize in community collaboration. Recognized among the British Council's top 50 future leaders, he has also been honored as the Best Educator of the Year 2022 and received the Positive Change in Education Award 2024 from the distinguished GESS Awards in Dubai. Welcome, Kamil. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have two young, adults, I guess. We wanted, because this panel is about the future and the future of parenting and the future of AI, we wanted a young perspective. I would like to invite Mr. Vali Ahmad. He is a young entrepreneur and a student living between Lahore and Cambridge. He is an MBIT, Applied Neuroscience Master Coach, a neuro-linguistic practitioner, a short filmmaker, researcher, and writer. He has a passion for physics, AI, film, and finance. Welcome, Vali. And Amelia Umar, the young mind behind the project Parenting 101. Amelia explores how deeply parenting shapes teenagers, influencing their confidence, mental and emotional well-being, communication, and motivation. Recognizing the rapidly changing world and the growing gap in the understanding between parents and teens, she examines different parenting styles, what young people genuinely need, and how small shifts in communication can make a meaningful impact. I have her book. It's lovely. I have to say her perspective, from my children's perspective, was fantastic. I just read a couple of chapters right now, and I can't wait for it to be published. Welcome, Amelia. Okay, so we're going to start. I was given a list of questions as an idea of where this conversation can lead to, and I learned a new term called the digital umbilical cord. Is anyone familiar with that? No? Okay. So, on the one hand, there is a powerful parental desire for constant connection and safety, facilitated by personal devices, right? We all want to know where our children are, or where our parents are, or where everyone is. And then there is the critical development need for children to separate, explore, and achieve independence. This has been called the digital umbilical cord, a connection that is always on, but one that may prevent our children from truly learning to navigate the world on their own. Okay? So, Nadia, let me begin with you. The term digital umbilical cord is a powerful one. Could you analyze this phenomena? Is this expectation for a child to be perpetually reachable a genuine benefit for safety, or has it become an obstacle to their growth, resilience, and independence?
Assalamu alaikum. Definitely, I think the umbilical cord was made to be cut. And it depends also on the age of the child. So if you have a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and you're sort of wanting to know their whereabouts and they have a telephone, वो एक अलग बात है. But I think after the age of 16, 17, a certain amount of independence or एतबार, trust. It's about trust. How much do you trust your child? And one of the most powerful things I learned as a mother and as an educator was, if you really truly love your children, you raise them so that they don't need you at all. And you are always their nest if they need to come back or if they'd like to come back. But they should actually be independent and self-sufficient. They should know that there will be failure, there will be falling down. But as Vali and I often share with each other this comment that there is no failure, there's only feedback. गिर के ही बंदा उठता है, फिर उठना सीखता है. So I think that it's important for children to navigate their own safety and to be self-sufficient. And this helicopter parenting and constantly needing to know where your child is, what your child is doing, it's different. I think up till a certain age, it's important, especially the company your children are keeping, whether it's online or offline, the kind of company they're keeping, the kind of peers they're growing up with, that will make a huge difference to them. And then it's time to cut the umbilical cord. It's important to cut it.
What age do you think is time to cut? You have children in different
Honestly,
age groups.
every child is different. So I work with the Child Protection Bureaus of Punjab as a mental health facilitator, and I have 500 children. And some of them are struggling to be independent and self-sufficient at 16, 17. And some have reached that maturity at 13. And the girls do tend to develop and that sense of maturity and self-sufficiency a little earlier in the bureau, in the children I've worked with. But I would say by 16, 17, 16, your child should be able to navigate on the net. The digital umbilical cord should be, I think, cut by the age of 16. Lekin having said that, by the age of 16, then this is a conversation Vali and I were having in the car on the way here. वो आदतें, those habits need to have been inculcated so that the child knows at the age of 16, this amount of screen time is damaging my discipline. This amount is just me getting dopamine in ways I don't need it. And these are the ways I need to protect myself on the internet. I mean, you need to have done all that work before you cut the cord. But yeah, I think 16 is a good age to generally let children navigate the world on their own and sort of be there looking over them, because I think by 18, they're adults.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I would say I definitely feel and experience this digital umbilical cord. And while it is necessary that, you should have that guidance throughout your years, I'm very grateful that my mother has, even before 15, 16, I would say, give me that complete and utter freedom of, because like the second part that saying, there's no failure, only feedback, is that the only failure is when you don't even try. So when parents will maybe limit children for too long, or not even allow them to access the internet and not allow them to make the mistakes, then that will cause them to not be able to navigate once they reach adulthood, once they reach, the real world.
Absolutely. I also believe that having an extreme attitude towards anything, not just digital presence, but anything, will sometimes lead to extreme behavior with what you're stopping them to do. So there always has to be a bit of a balance where you draw the line, I guess. Amelia, what about you? Do you think the constant digital access your parents have is a support, a safety net for you, or a bit of a, pressure?
I think the more you pressure them into trying to, control what they look up or what they do on their devices, just it's just gonna give them more of a bit rebellious touch, because kids have this habit of doing what their parents tell them not to, and the more you pressure them to not do it, or the more you pressure them to, tell you when they're not comfortable enough to do so, they're just gonna do it without telling you. So I think you need to find a balance between honesty and truth, where you can, give them a comfortable space where you know what they're doing, while them also knowing that you've given them the protection of, keeping them from the world, while also like helping them keep up with everything that their friends or people they hang out with might be up to.
So giving them the right amount of exposure,
Exactly, while also
right amount of
providing.
protection, but giving them the independence. Okay, wonderful. Kamil, आप बताइए, in response to these concerns, we've seen a significant policy shift. In 19 states in the US have moved towards implementing phone-free schools. How do you evaluate this policy? Is it a healthy and necessary step to restore children's attention spans, as proponents suggest, or does it create unintended anxieties for both parents and students who have come to rely on constant connection?
We are visualizing schools without a phone, right? That's the question. And that's happening right now as well. And I think it's working out pretty well. In a world where distractions and noise is become a norm, I think we really need to look at lives without phones, without tablets, without sort of all of these things as well. We cannot beat human connection. And we have to see how schools and homes and all of these places can really survive with a good balance, where human connection is more important than the connection with the phones. Already, I was at a panel, and whenever I ask children, what are your thoughts in terms of interacting with adults, they say they don't listen. And now, if we have the phone, which they're listening to, the child is smart enough to understand that they're not the preference. And in that way, the relationship that the parent is going to have with the child is going to suffer. And in a very similar sort of a way, if the child is thinking about the phone and the teacher is saying something, the interaction is going to suffer. And already, there are a lot of concerns with teacher-student interactions. So I think the policy is fine. We just need to find a good balance and focus more on connections and try and remove the noise.
Can I just add something to that? I just wanted to add that, a battle I have in my home is my 4-year-old who is allowed 15 to 20 minutes of screen time. And I live in a joint family system, so there are other children in the house who are allowed a lot more screen time and who have iPads and phones. And she's watching and she's seeing and she's comparing, and wo poll hai कि और बच्चों के पास है and I'm not allowed it. But the fact is, then how do I win? How do I make her realize that no, that 15 minutes you'll get, but that there are more exciting things? Then it's my job to take her to the tree outside. It's my job to take her with a shovel, because she's 4. I promise you she will have more fun digging and shoveling and jumping on the trampoline and playing and racing with me and her brothers than the phone. But that option, using the phone as a babysitter, using the television as a babysitter, is having dire consequences on the mental health of our children. And I say this as a qualified, certified mental health practitioner. It is having serious consequences on the kind of adults we're raising. So what age you're giving access to a child to use the digital world and to sort of seep into it is also very, very important. My 4-year-old, my mother-in-law was telling me today, I changed my password and she got into my phone. She got into my phone. I mean, the password was, none of you are going to steal my mother-in-law's phone. So it's 444. And she's very proudly telling me, Dadi's password is 444. So wo poll hai. But how are you going to then show them that there are more exciting things? And just Amelia ne kaha hai, the more, if I tell you all right now, no matter what happens, don't think of a pink elephant. Just do not think of a pink elephant. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? So the subconscious mind doesn't understand the negative. So instead of saying do not, tell them instead what you want them to do. Oh my God, I cannot wait to shovel outside. Or that conversation, or that digging, whatever. So I think
Absolutely.
hold
I
it
think
off.
we have this constant conversation about the right amount of use of technology for children. That it's exactly what you said. The problem is that if you are not letting them use technology, then you as a parent or a caregiver has to make the effort yourself to then entertain your children. And that's the effort a lot of people are, for valid reasons also at times, not willing to do. So it's a lot of physical work and emotional work to get
You can
involved.
teaching a child how to self-satisfy, play on their own is one of the greatest gifts you can give your child. I mean, the word boredom should not exist in the home. There is always.
But having said that, don't you? But having said, don't you think it is extremely difficult to sort of be as animated, or rather more animated, than what they have on the screen? Like, you really need to be skilled. Like, the parent really needs to upskill.
Well,
Storytelling is a skill.
Storytelling is a skill.
Right.
Storytelling is a skill. My kids are lucky. But honestly, I have seen between Peppa Pig and Patiliyon ka concert. Patiliyon ka concert always wins with mine. So it's a neural pathway. The more they see the screen as something that is exciting and a big deal, the more their neural pathway is going to ache for that 15 minutes on the phone. The more you build that Patiliyon ka concert, that digging on, and self-play, let them learn to play on their own. You should not need a 24-hour entertainment session for your children.
Yeah. But somehow we've chosen convenience over everything else.
Yeah.
And so because it's easy, like looking at the phone is easy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to play a video. It's a teacher's perspective of the students in the classroom.
Guys don't know what's going on in education right now. That's fine. Like, how could you know unless you were working in it? But I think you need to know. So here is exactly what it's like right now working in public education. First of all, the kids have no ability to be bored whatsoever. They live on their phones and they're just fed a constant stream of dopamine from the minute their eyes wake up in the morning until they go to sleep at night. Because they're in a constant state of dopamine withdrawal at school, they behave like addicts. They're super emotional, like the smallest thing sets them off. And when you are standing in front of them, trying to teach, they're vacant. They have no ability to tune in if your communication isn't packaged in short little clips or if it doesn't have like bright flashing lights. That's actually the way harder part for me than just the outright behaviors, is just being up at the front, talking to a group of kids who have their eyes open, they're looking at me, but they're not there. They're not there. And they have a level of apathy that I've never seen before in my whole career. Punishments don't work because they don't care about them. They don't care about grades. They don't care about college. It's like you are interacting with them briefly in between hits of the internet, which is their real life. I've seen some TikToks recently where teachers are getting a lot of hate, like for not adapting to the kids or punishing them or whatever. And I just gotta say, like, I can tell you with absolute certainty, it is not the teacher's fault. It might be the parents' fault. It might be our capitalistic society's fault, but it is not the teacher's fault.
Okay. Amelia, I'm going to start with you. Do you agree with what she's saying?
Honestly, I really do, because I see this every day in class. And my midterms are coming up next week, actually. And none of the kids in my class have actually started studying for it. Our whole group chat is filled with messages like lock in, lock in. But no one ever does. They end up spamming reels for the next 3 hours or talking about the randomest things. But instead of like putting their phone on the side, they start getting this anxiety if they open a book that maybe someone texted me, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. I think more than being attached to people around you, you become attached to this non-stop scrolling and like endless amounts of energy that your phone provides you, and it also like increases how many kids have ADHD in our generation and the coming generation because they just can't focus or be attentive to one thing.
Do you think the gadgets are part of the ADHD?
They're a major reason for the ADHD.
Okay. Kamil, आप बताइए, do you think children are vacant when we're teaching them?
So, interesting. If we consider education as a gift, right? So if the teacher goes in the classroom and thinks that, education is a gift that they need to give to the children, right? And the children are literally piggybacks. And the teacher is just inserting the gift of education in the piggyback. And then it's testing the children in terms of what comes out of the piggyback. So this concept is called the banking concept of education. In this particular concept of the banking concept of education, where education is a gift, children who are in this scenario will never take that or will never be able to replicate that because attention spans have gone low, right? So in some sort of a way, if we can move away from this particular concept and really look at how we can co-create knowledge, and knowledge can really be co-created, and there is a prereq to creating and co-creating knowledge, and that is providing a safe space to the children. A space in which you're tolerant to, like the child having a different view than yours. A space in which there's no fear. A space in which there's no ego of you giving the gift, right? And if you really, as an educator, as a teacher, as a leader, work on providing that space, I can assure you, and I can say that with a lot of confidence, that the children will respond, and the children do respond. I'm the principal of a school. Majority of the children are preschool children. They don't really care whether I'm the principal or the CEO. They don't. All they care about is a person who, whenever they look at, is just smiling at them. The guy's always smiling. Whatever's happening in their lives, they look at a guy and he's smiling and he's greeting them. They feel safe. They're the same children. But the focus is really on providing that safe space. If you start showing children that you care, eventually they will start learning. And I think that's something which is very important. But in society where everything needs to be fixed, we forgot that. We've become these doctors, ye isko fix karo. Aise karoge to aise ho jayega. And we've never adopted that approach of being a farmer, where you're looking at the quality of the soil, you're looking at the quality of the air, you're looking at the space, and then you're seeing how the children perform, what is the outcome. So I think that shift needs to happen. So it's not, I wouldn't really particularly agree with what she's saying. And I think something can be done. And as educators, this is something that can be done, having a farmer's approach.
But do you think it is then the parent's responsibility or a parent-teacher partnership? How should it be done?
So, if you take any research, may it be national or international, any research, you will see that in terms of academic achievement of children, there's an 80-20 relationship. There's an 80-20 relationship. Can you guess what the 80 is? Can you guess what the 80 is? 80%. 80% of something is contributing to the academic achievement of the children. That's actually parent background. Yeah, and that learning space is provided by someone. Yeah. You take any research, you will find this 80-20 relationship. So 80% is parents, 20% is school. Now, you might be thinking, there's only 20% that you can do, but 80% lies with somebody else. So you have to cater the 80% as well. And you have to take them along in the journey of the child if you want the child to do well academically. You cannot, under any circumstances, ignore the 80% because 20% is not, is not a lot.
Definitely, it's not a lot. And as we say in early childhood development, the parents are the first teachers of the child, and that is something that we should not forget. The first person they respond to, their sense of security, everything comes from the parents. So they are the first teachers. Nadia, do you think, what do you think? Punishment or discipline techniques that are different. You have raised two different generations. What do you have to say? Are they different now from Mir Vali to your daughter?
Yes. Yes.
Is it only because of the middle child and the youngest child, or because of a generational difference?
No, it's because I educated myself. I think I'm a better mother to my 4-year-old than I was to my sons, definitely.
Unlucky
They
for
had
us.
a younger version of me, so they had a fun version. But I think, and just to talk about the interview you showed earlier on as well. In the classroom, as a teacher, it is my job to make sure the children are not vacant. It is my job to make sure they're awake and they are tuned in. And the thing is, even though I said, कि hold on, जल्दी ना कीजिए अपने बच्चों को digital दुनिया में लाने की, जल्दी ना कीजिए. But the day and age has changed. Socializing is digital, as you were mentioning. Their life is digital. A lot of their life is digital. And yes, even though inculcate a love of exercise and nature and human interaction and relationships and poetry, inculcate that in them. But also learn their world. Because their world and learning their world is our job. This is a changing world and we have to keep up with them. I learn the most from my children. They are my favorite teachers. And I've learned some pretty hard lessons about myself and about parenting and about teaching from my students, from my kids. So I think it's about also acknowledging that a lot of the world is going to be digital now, more and more and more. And how do we build a digital world that has heart in it? Because the danger of a digital world is that वो कल्प से नहीं सोच रहा होता. AI यहाँ से सोच रहा होता.
It's based
Data
on,
से.
the neural nets are only based on like our neocortex, and we have so much, like multiple intelligences. You have your vagus nerve, your heart has neurons in it, and the way large language models are based and trained is very just based simply off your neocortex and analytical thinking, without taking empathy into consideration, without like your nervous system being entrained by people around you.
Awe. That feeling when you're like, Subhanallah, awe. You don't learn awe from AI. Or like Vali said, empathy.
Yeah. Or compassion. Yeah.
Courage.
Yeah.
Mir Vali, do you think you went through any of this as a student? The
100
teachers?
100%. Like the video, it really saddened me as well, because I feel like, especially what she said regarding the students are living, their life is on the internet. And I'm a big believer of authenticity is your entanglement with reality. And we are living vicariously via the screens, which is like causing us to fragment our identity and lose the ability to, have our own sense of self. And also what Amelia said regarding her friends or classmates having anxiety whenever they open the book. Anxiety is solved by action or distraction. And sadly, we go to the latter, which is distraction, which is the phone. Because the dopamine is instant. Your instant gratification and ability to have delayed gratification is very, very, like, completely ruined. And it's just hard to get through difficult and, thinking through problems. So yeah, it definitely affected me in school, and I see it even now.
Okay, so Then let's talk about algorithms and the impact it has on our children. So when we are, as adults or as children, when we are using technology, when we are using our social media platforms for XYZ, whatever it is that you're watching, whatever it is that you're interested in, we will all notice the ads coming up
Yeah.
are about the same things.
I would
All the
say-
content that is coming up is about the same things. For children, for the generation that is growing up, or the next generation to come who is going to be future ready for the next workspace, do you think that it is something that limits their thinking? Or do you think it's something that opens up their mind more and more? How are algorithms
So-
affecting
I think
the next
I
generation?
think it's both. So algorithms do cause an echo chamber where what you like and what you interact with is going to, be portrayed more and more. But then at the same time, it allows people to discover niches, discover passion, discover a lot of things that they wouldn't be able to. I found a lot of the things that I'm really passionate about via these algorithms, via just, I'm probably the biggest university or school that I've learned from is the University of YouTube, whether it's graphic design, programming, or anything. So I do feel like these algorithms have a big play in teaching children, but then the echo chamber and also because the algorithm is going to benefit most from keeping you on the screen. They want to keep you on there.
But Kamil, what do you think? Because I do feel that if, let's say, if my child was watching Peppa Pig on one of her gadgets, everything now related to Peppa Pig is constantly showing up on my screen. And if my child is using my screen, that's all she's watching, and there is nothing else that she's being exposed to, right? So, what do you think? Because then it's
Digital behavior is pretty much an amplification of our day-to-day behavior.
yeah.
So it's become just an amplification of it. Whatever that you are seeking for is actually seeking you as well. And these algorithms have become so smart at that. So in that particular time, it really depends on what you're looking at. And that in so many ways is driven by the set of values that you have. So if you value integrity, which is about doing the right thing no matter what, no matter whatever the consequences, right? You look for things similar to that as well. You will not follow the norm. If, from a school perspective, if we can somehow focus on what's driving that behavior, which is eventually going to drive the digital behavior, I think we can make a difference. But for teaching values, you have to show people what these values look like. You can't tell them to practice integrity and be honest. You have to be honest and yourself. So this week, I went into the class and they'd done something, right, which was not that they should be doing. So I went in. I said, you guys know that I respect you, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, why do you guys do this? They're like, everybody was doing it. I'm like, okay. So do you guys know that if everybody's doing something, it doesn't mean that you should be doing the same thing as well. The right thing is the right thing, even if nobody's doing it. And the wrong thing is the wrong thing, even if everybody's doing it. I had to go in and tell them and show them what integrity looks like, rather than just criticizing their behavior. So I showed them what it is. And me taking the time, despite whatever's going on in the office, and going to them and telling them is the right thing to do. So I have to practice integrity myself. And then I asked them that, just like you're responsible for yourself and your parents and everything around you, don't you think you're responsible for the environment that you're in as well? Right? And I can see that you practiced no responsibility whatsoever. Do you guys agree with that? They're like, yeah. Like, this was extremely irresponsible. Okay, good. Your actions will have consequences. You'll pay for all these things. Will you? 100%. So this interaction is really showing them what values look like, which in turn is going to affect their behavior, which in turn is going to affect their habits. And digital behavior is just an amplification of your habits.
I do feel like it's the chicken or the egg though, where digital behavior is the application of your habits, but then your habits are now created because of your digital behavior. And it's very hard to define and showcase which will come before, especially with like group chats and like sadly we are so connected now that when one of us is kind of down a rabbit hole, we all kind of get pulled in.
That's where parents, adults, and the society comes in.
But the parents and adults in our society are doing the same thing, sadly.
That's exactly the point.
So, yeah.
And that's the
Nadia,
state of affairs.
sorry, I have to get through a couple of questions. What practical strategies help children build ethical digital behavior from an early age?
Well, like Mir said, your children will not learn from what you tell them. Your children will learn from what you are doing. So if you're sitting at home all day on the phone, I promise you that is what your children are going to be doing. And you can criticize them as much as you want and you can judge them as much as you want. But if you are not exercising, not eating healthy, and literally on the phone 24/7, you have absolutely no leg to stand on to judge and criticize your children. So I think first thing is walk the talk yourself. That is one way you can safeguard your children. The other thing is, it's one thing to be watching videos about waking up at 5 in the morning and standing on the grass and grounding on the dewdrops and that amazing tasbih that will bring you rizq. It's one thing to be watching videos about that, and it's another thing to be doing it. Like Vali said, there's a difference between action and distraction. So if excuse the religious references because I use a lot of them as a believer, I have to say if takabbur was your original sin for Iblis, the second is distraction. We are constantly distracting ourselves. So I think it's a question of training yourself and keeping an eye on yourself. How and where am I getting distracted? The noise, as Kamil said, what is the noise in my life? How can I focus back so I'm not distracted, so I'm acting? And so that living and loving life is a verb. It's not just something in my head. It's an action. What am I doing for it? First, my eye and my self-parenting is on me. Then I'm concerned about the children in my life, whoever they are. And are they emulating me? Are they learning from this? And what can I learn from them? And when I feel that they are exercising or making the wrong choices vis-a-vis the use of digital media, how am I communicating that to them? And what am I saying to them? And what alternatives am I facilitating them with? At the end of the day, after a certain age, your children, after the age of 18, your children must make their own mistakes and learn from the consequences of their mistakes. In my opinion, all you can be is a gentle facilitator, a guide, a moderator in their life after that. And I made my mistakes. I think for me, maturity didn't kick in, I think 48, 49. So let them. I mean, they're growing up a lot faster than we did. They have too much access to too much information. So if anything, it's about how do you get your children and yourself out of this brain. So in applied neuroscience, as neuroscientists, we learn that this is one brain, but you have a brain around your heart and you have a brain around your gut. How do you move down in your body and engage with your life from your other brains and not just in your data head brain? Because this is the one that makes the most noise. So I think that's how we can create boundaries and safeguard ourselves and our children, but ourselves first.
What about you, Amelia? What practical strategies you think help your generation build ethical and digital behavior from it?
I think first of all, my teachers, they depend on AI a lot. Even for a lot of the assignments we get, most of the tasks and their instructions are AI generated. So the first thing the kids think about, obviously, is, okay, oh, we have AI, we'll do it in like 5 minutes. And then they don't really realize that it's going to impact their whole writing style and whatever they do in the future because they get so independent on it. They get dependent on it, actually. And basically, I think at some point they forget that humans are made to be creative, and that creativity is starting to fade away as the newer generations start to get more attached to this whole AI environment that's been settled down for us. And you've probably heard the saying, all roads lead to Rome. So basically, at the end of the day, as much as we try to keep kids away from it or any generation, even if we try to like prohibit our kids from using it, in the end of the day, they are going to use it because that's what the world's leading us to, and we can't really stop it. The only way we can slow it down is to basically try to give them the same childhood that a lot of people had in the olden times. Maybe not in the same way because different time, but like similar, more physical, more interactive, and less related to whatever bots and AI.
So if you are using AI or ChatGPT to help you with your schoolwork, or the teacher is using it to make her classwork more efficient, what is it that you guys do with the extra time?
But the extra time, most people just scroll or watch YouTube or stuff that shouldn't really be done in school, but it happens because uh, the kids are given too much time. So the only way they can fix that boredom is to do something on their device.
But then they're also complaining that they have too much homework, so why not utilize that time?
I don't think I've heard anyone complain about too much homework.
What do you guys think? Is there a way to optimize one's time if one is using AI technology to be more efficient with their work?
100%. So, like what she said regarding creativity being destroyed, because your creativity, in my opinion, is based a lot on your intuition. And when AI just gives you a direct answer, it kind of loses the ability that we have when we're exploring multiple essays, books, and really doing that analysis. And then intuitively we have that idea, or we can kind of use it. And with your intuition, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. I feel like the way to use AI as a benefit, as like a resource rather than a hindrance, is that you use it as one, ask it to be objective. Like a lot of it is in the prompting. You can use tools like Notebook LM, which they help you learn in like a very resource and structured way. And you can use the AI as a research tool to read articles, to find things that you wouldn't know, and ask the AI to, like when once it gives a reply, be like, okay, now go against this. Instead of having a specific bias, you can really use it to explore a bunch of different options. And yeah.
I agree, and I think also, I understand what Amelia is saying, but I think prohibition is not the answer. I think the answer is teaching ourselves and our children how to use AI more creatively. Like Vali said, how to make the most out of it. Ye bhi ek nemat hai. This is also a blessing,
Absolutely.
and it's like, people must have been frightened of going to the moon once upon a time, or flying was something they couldn't have imagined possible once upon a time. This is a facility. It's use AI to facilitate us more resourcefully. How can we teach our children and ourselves how to? And I'm actually learning more from my kids about this than anyone else, on how to learn how to use AI more resourcefully and intelligently, and so that it enhances my creativity. I mean, I'm a diabetic, right? AI really helps me with my meals. It helps me deciding on if this is my sugar, then can I have a chocolate peanut, and if I can, how many? So literally, it measures all of these small things for me now, and obviously with the okay of my doctor. But it can be a huge resource and a huge facilitator in our lives.
Ji.
I think we've we were sitting in the knowledge economy in which knowledge was everything. And now, the acquisition of knowledge has become so easy and it's so convenient that we've made a shift from the knowledge economy to rather an allocation economy. In the knowledge economy, we were basically the makers. We were designing stuff. We were doing the stuff. In the allocation economy, we are the managers. So we're deciding that, how would this look like? Like, what should go inside? How can I make it more impactful? How can I present it in a better way? In order to address these questions, there's something that's driving these questions, and that something is called curiosity. We really need to sort of work on that. And the way that we can optimize our relationship with AI is just by being more curious.
Yeah.
The quality of the input is going to determine the quality of the output. And the more you give context in the input, the better output you'll get. You cannot ignore the importance of domain knowledge still, because that is going to allow you to give a better input that respects the context. So the doctor is still relevant. The engineer is still relevant. The teacher is still relevant.
Especially because of hallucinations that the AI does.
Yeah.
Like still.
Yeah.
Some insane hallucinations.
Yeah, and it can give you some weird sort of outputs. So you cannot ignore the importance of domain knowledge. But AI, in order to optimize your relationship, needs to be your thinking partner. Where you ask something, you're like, can you improve this? Can you make it more structured? What are your thoughts on this? Let me remind you of the context. So I am sending this email to the chairman. I'm not sending it to one of my team members. Can you change the tone accordingly? And it's going to say, yeah, thank you for providing the context. Right?
Saying knowledge is so accessible.
Yeah.
It becomes more important and easier for us as parents and teachers to, instead of pushing knowledge and shoving knowledge and data down our students and our kids' throats, we work on values.
Yeah.
We work on tarbiyat. That is our job. And it's become easier because knowledge to unke paas humse zyada hai.
So that's going in the future, right? Whenever we talk about education, right, we talk about two things. We talk about knowledge, and then we talk about skills. So knowledge is potential power. But if you have the skills to apply that knowledge, it becomes impact. In the age of AI, to sustain that impact, you would need values. You would need values of integrity, which is doing the right thing. You would need the value of responsibility by really taking the responsibility of not just the input, but of the outcome and then of the execution. So execution is everything. Accountability is again a value. So when it comes to accountability, empathy, responsibility, and then most importantly, action, that's something that we need to work on in order to have a sustainable experience along with knowledge and skills, which, the schools are
That's
focusing on.
one thing AI can seriously harm us at, action. Because, because
Let's watch this video. We have 10 minutes left, and I want to do a bit of question answer also.
If
and
you're
I
a
want to do
parent
couple
and you're
of things.
not teaching your kids AI, I'm not going to call it child abuse, but it's in that same vein. I just don't see a responsible parent thinking they're preparing their child for the future and pretending like AI won't integrate into their life in every aspect, just like you use your fucking cell phone. That's dumb. The problem is with most leaders, they can't teach their team where they haven't gone themselves. And most parents right now are not integrating it into their workflow at the level I'm talking about. Not only chat, but also image generation, video generation, research projects. Unless electricity is going away in the future, AI is here to stay.
So I think that's something that we were talking about, but there's one more slide that I want us to quickly see. Which is the UNICEF guidelines for child protection in the use of AI. So based on this video and that slide, I would like to ask you guys, from your personal point of view, AI is here to stay. So for all of you, at least one, what would you like to say should be a part of the child protection policy? This is very generic. These are the points. We have the whole policy. We're happy to share it with you. But just in case, since you don't know the policy, what is it that you would like to see on that policy to protect children?
Monitoring for children.
By who?
By like you should have the option for chat logs to be monitored by parents, especially because there's been a lot of cases. AI models, basically the way they're trained is they're very agreeable. So no matter what you say to it, it's designed on two outputs, and which one is going to be more agreeable is what is picked, and that's how it was trained. So the issue there is there's been a lot of cases where sensitive things such as children convincing the AI that certain things are right for them, or convincing the AI into really extreme cases like suicide, where they're like, I'm going through this and I feel like everyone is out for me, and the AI is agreeing like, yes, I do agree with you, these are the steps you can take, and an AI wrote a suicide letter in one instance. So I feel like some sort of monitoring where it should come up for children that, okay, your child is speaking with this chat log, this LLM regarding these things. And yeah, that's like really concerning. And also maybe...
Do you think there should be, because I guess this is something all of us see, and it's something obviously I've also thought about. And I just think that in certain cases, like on Instagram, you get a notification, a warning about abuse or suicide. Do you think if someone is having that kind of a conversation on AI with a chatbot or whoever, there should be a warning being sent out to somebody that this is a conversation happening if somebody wants to check?
100%. Yeah.
I think for kids who use AI or have to use it for school, there should be like a parents control thing like there is on Instagram and a lot of social media platforms. And I think that should really be introduced into ChatGPT, Poe, and many AIs that are used like continuously day to day.
Okay.
Safety. I think for me, it's safety, because eventually inclusivity is not going to be, more. It's not going to be an issue. But safety, how much AI are they being exposed to, or screen or digital media are they being exposed to? How is the content being monitored? And are they using it for things that they should not be using it for? Like this, the young child who committed suicide, that was facilitated by the AI. So it's a bot. It doesn't know, it doesn't have an ethical code. So safety, definitely. I think there needs to be, we don't have a concept of safeguarding in Pakistan. Safeguarding, if a child is abused, you will see that child's picture in all the newspapers. That is a safeguarding no. It should not happen.
But
So,
Nadia, as far as the suicide and the chatbot is concerned, it also, the couple of things that I read, it also became, the background was always that the child was isolated and the chatbot was the friend.
yeah.
And which then reminds us how important it is to, number one, communicate with your child, and number two, for them to actually have friends or people they can trust, a trust circle around them. So human connection, like we constantly talk about, is very, very important. That's not going to go
Also,
away.
Depression के बहुत मुख्तलिफ चेहरे होते हैं. Depression has a lot of different faces. Depression does not always look like a child who is isolated, introverted, quiet. Sometimes children who outwardly are okay are suffering from some level of anxiety or other issues. And it's very imperative for the parent to be connected to, or somebody to be connected to that child, so that that child sees a real human counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, coach. I see a lot of children and a lot of young people, and the issues are they're all dopamine, they're all anxiety, overstimulation, insomnia, addiction, and it's all to do with this lack of discipline where distraction has taken over action.
Okay, Kamil, jaldi se, then I want to do a couple of
so
questions before we
in
wrap
the
up.
process of design thinking, you start with empathy. So when I look at these policies of child-centric behavior of AI, I don't see any empathy, unfortunately. So what I would like to see, because it's child-centered, I would like to see like a platform for the younger generation to raise their voice, for them to be heard. Just like you're providing, we're sitting here, and Amelia is sitting here right with us. And it's amazing the sort of input that she brings in. She's on the ground. So there needs to be a platform which provides the children to give their voice. And we, as adults, as educators, we need to listen more.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have 20 seconds left, but I want to do a couple of questions.
20
How do
seconds.
parents strike the right balance between allowing children to use AI for learning and creativity while ensuring they develop emotional skills and real world thinking?
I think parents should balance it via allowing the children to use AI and implement it, but monitoring it, especially at a young age. And for example, with my sister, I use AI generation to create storybooks that are specific for her. So like things she wants to be, whether it's Spider-Man or a ballerina, you can use the AI models to channel the creativity by generating images and stories which are personalized for them.
And interesting to them. Thank you so much. Sorry, we can't take more questions. We've run out of time. But thank you so much. That was a great conversation, and I hope we all learned something and how to move forward for our future generations. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you to our guests for such an insightful conversation.